Redditors, have you ever gotten an ick from a potential partner or love interest that instantly killed your attraction to them? If so, what happened? In college, I was seeing a girl who lived in student residence with me, but on another floor. She would always talk about how another guy, Tom, on her floor was obsessed with her and would show me texts between them. She said she only talked to him because he's harmless and that they're friends. I never met him. After a week, her ex-friend from high school pulled me aside and told me not to trust her. She said that the girl I was seeing is a notorious liar and that Tom doesn't exist. That she added her own number in her phone as Tom, would text herself, and then delete the sent messages. The only reason her ex-friend knew is because she saw the text message exchange happen in the reflection of a mirror when they were in the same room. I was close with front desk and asked if they could look up the names from that floor. They said yes, and told me that there was no guy named Tom on her floor. I noped out of that real quick. First red flag, he wanted me to drive because he had an interlock. Second, he talked about biting the ear off his ex's new boyfriend. Third was the jugs of urine scattered in his living room. There was no second date. Went on a date with a guy I met at a party. He made me prove that I liked Lord of the Rings by answering who said what when he quoted someone. He pulled out a notebook of really poorly drawn anime characters and asked me if he could draw me. He was a lot shorter than me and asked if it bothered me. I said no, then he said, "Good, I like Amazonian goddesses." He kept trying to put his jewelry onto me despite my protests. He asked what I wanted to order for food, then ignored me and ordered me something else and got frustrated I didn't need it all. He referenced being arrested, made me guess what for, and when I refused to guess for not knowing him well enough he said GBH, grievous bodily harm. He was a trainee doctor and asked if I'd ever broken any bones. When I replied yes, he said that he was going to look up my x-rays. And the icing on the cake. When I wanted to leave he got my knee-high boots, slipped them onto my feet and zipped them up and said you should always be treated like a goddess. My Morticia Adams. All one date. Making assumptions about me on the first day. I suppose someone like you. Or a girl like you wouldn't understand. I am literally right here, ask me. Don't tell me what my life is or is like. Anyway, eventually I got up and left. They messaged me what my problem is, so I wrote back something to the effect of, "A boy like you wouldn't understand even if I told you." She constantly thought everyone wanted to FCK her all the time. I was in some classes with her and we got along fine, but apparently through the grapevine found out she'd been talking to everyone about how much I wanted to FCK her. I then found out she had been saying something very similar about almost any dude who interacted with her. It started to come off in a very sad way. It was a frustrating mix of massive egoism and coping. I couldn't tell if it was a self-esteem thing or what. She had a boyfriend at the time, but I felt kinda bad for the dude. Talking about our interests, and after I listened to him blab about his landscaping business, I went to talk about my interests and he interrupted me to say, "Wow, you really have nothing interesting to say, do you?" He asked me if I could avoid showers before we met. I can avoid you is what I can do. They invited me over for dinner, and to clean the table they just slung the food off the plates across the kitchen floor for the pack of dogs they had to fight over. I went on a date with a seemingly nice guy in my early 20s. It went well, so after dinner, we cuddled in the back seat of his car in a quiet country area listening to music. He gently played with my hand and fingers and gave me a little massage, so relaxing. When he got to my wrist he looked at it, flipped it around a few times, and says in a lustful voice, "It would be so easy for me to break this little thing right now." Edit. I said this in response to someone below, for you guys asking about what happened after. It was maybe 2007? I don't remember in detail what happened next. I kind of just played it off like you're so strong until he took me home. Kind of tried to de-escalate, so didn't acknowledge that statement too much. Just kept the conversation moving to something else and was careful to not embarrass or upset him. I didn't keep seeing him. I was busy for the next dates he asked me on, and then acted as boring as possible until he lost interest in me eventually. We went to college together and were in Reserve Officers Training Corps together, so avoiding was kinda hard. He started a relationship with someone else pretty quickly after that. He talked in baby voice 70% of the time and only masturbated via giving his DCK a bunch of small smacks over and over until he came. Realized he was f***ing seizures our entire relationship to get out of helping me do chores or cook meals. Edit. We dated for less than a year. Found out from his friends or family he never had a seizure in front of them. Came home one night after working a double. I asked him to please try to make dinner. Found him asleep and woke him up to let him know I was home or where's dinner. He said he had a seizure. This caused an argument where he admitted he faked it. He said his seizures were caused by flashing lights. Took him to countless doctors and no one could replicate what I saw all the time. After he admitted it, it finally clicked. He's been f***ing it the whole time. Went on a date with an outwardly normal girl. We started kissing and getting frisky back at her place and she started meowing and acting cat-like. It was little mules at first, then leading on to her stopping, licking her fingertips and grooming her ears. She saw me make a face and questioned why I'd made a face. I was straight up and said, "Because you're pretending to be a cat." She said, "Oh, was I? Sometimes it takes over when I'm horny." We tried again, she mewed again and I noped out of there pretty quickly after that. Funk house. Stepped into a smell that, I can't describe it. George Clinton would complain about it. Then, as I was sitting on the couch, noticed gnats everywhere. Looked over at a window and there were thousands living and dead in the sill. Tried to throw away a soda bottle, hundreds more swarmed up from the pile of dirty dishes in the sink. That was enough for me. I'd been seeing them, mostly in public. We'd met on an app and I was still figuring out if we fit, for over a month, and they were pressing for more time together, a deeper connection, exclusivity, when they asked to rain check a proposed date activity because they needed to take their daughters to the dentist that day. Kids? We've been talking for hours on marathon dates and texting whenever we weren't together for like 1 or 2 weeks. What kids? You have kids? Kids are not a deal breaker. Hiding your 3 children from someone you've asked for a commitment is a massive deal breaker. First date. I was filling gas and she started going through my phone. I saw her go through it and continued to fill gas as she read my text messages. I'm a fairly open person with little to hide, but I do value trust and honesty. Soon as the pump clicked, she put it back in a hurry. I skipped the dinner plans and dropped her home. If I can't even trust you with my phone, I can't trust you with my future. Edit. What happened next? I didn't address it immediately. She didn't know I was driving towards her house until we got super close, at which point we had maybe 2 minutes left together. In a calm and "I'm disappointed in you" tone, I told her I caught her in the act and this blatant breach of privacy was a deal breaker for me. She's too old to be acting like an insecure teenager. She was 26, and that she should address this behavior before pursuing serious relationships. She knew she was in the wrong. She stayed quiet till we got back and left the car without a word. Still no apology though. Edit 2. I do have a phone password. But my car is a trusted Bluetooth spot, so it stays unlocked when connected to car for music. Dude spoke in the third person, only talked about himself, then tried to kiss me or take me home. I'm good. Another guy was only interested in the fact I'm Latina and called me exotic or spicy. Yuck. Found out the reason he rented the house next door to his parents was so his mom would make his meals, wash his clothes, etc. Had the audacity to say, "Let me call my mom," when I mentioned I was a little hungry. Maybe not instantly killed, but a really lovely woman telling me in a sincere voice that she loved me, 3 to 4 hours after meeting her, freaked me the FCK out in a way that I guess could reasonably be described as the ick. In no way was the statement couched either, just straight up "I love you." Think I responded, "No, you don't." friends, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and write your stories in the comments. See you in the next video. Have a good day.